Let me begin with a question. Have you ever heard of a king so just, so mighty, that his name was honored in the heavens and remembered across the ages? Now here's a powerful fact. Allah himself mentioned this king in the Quran. His name was Dhul-Qarnayn, a ruler blessed with wisdom, power, and the divine favor of Allah. But what if I told you? This story isn't just about the past. It carries a warning for the future, one that may unfold in our lifetime. The story begins in a time long past, during an era when the world was shaped by the rise and fall of powerful empires. Among the great figures of this time was a king unlike any other, a ruler whose name echoed with justice and wisdom, Dhul-Qarnayn. His reign was not only marked by his vast empire, which spanned across distant lands, but by his profound connection to the Almighty, for he was a man blessed with wisdom and power by Allah. In the Holy Qur'an, Allah speaks of Dhul-Qarnayn, saying, "Indeed, we established him upon the earth and gave him the means to everything." His kingdom stretched across the globe, from the east to the west, touching every corner of civilization. Despite his vast influence and unmatched might, Dhul-Qarnayn was a man of deep faith. He ruled with fairness and integrity, upholding the laws of Allah and never succumbing to oppression or cruelty. His heart was driven by the desire to spread the message of Allah and to guide his people towards righteousness. One day, Dhul-Qarnayn set out on a journey to the west, to a land where the sun set in fiery brilliance. There, he came across a people in desperate need of guidance. Some of them had fallen into the darkness of polytheism, worshipping gods other than Allah. But among them, there were others whose hearts still carried traces of goodness, people with strong morals and integrity. Allah gave Dhul-Qarnayn a choice, to punish the people for their disbelief or to show them mercy and guide them to the truth. With compassion in his heart, Dhul-Qarnayn chose the path of mercy. He taught them about the oneness of Allah, urging them to turn away from idol worship and embrace a life of honesty and high moral standards. Those who accepted his message were rewarded with kindness, and Dhul-Qarnayn promised them the blessings of paradise. But those who rejected the truth faced consequences, for Allah's justice is never to be taken lightly. Dhul-Qarnayn's journey continued eastward, where he encountered yet another group of people. These people lived in a harsh, barren land where the sun scorched the earth, and there were no trees or shelters to shield them from its heat. In times of unbearable heat, they would dig tunnels in the ground to hide from the sun. Again, Dhul-Qarnayn, moved by his deep sense of duty, offered them the same message, a call to believe in Allah, to live with good character, and to embrace righteousness. Those who accepted were treated with kindness, while those who rejected his guidance faced the consequences of their choices. Now pause for a moment. If you believe that leaders like Dhul-Qarnayn, who stood for truth and justice, are rare in this world, then comment your country below, and let's see where the love for such righteous leadership still lives. As Dhul-Qarnayn journeyed further, he came across a third group of people, hardworking and cooperative. But they spoke a language so foreign that communication was nearly impossible. With time and effort, they made him understand their plight. There were two tribes that terrorized them, the tribes of Yajuj and Majuj. These tribes were fierce and destructive, and their raids upon the peaceful people were a constant source of terror. The people lived in fear, knowing that at any moment, Yajuj and Majuj would emerge from their valley between two mountains to cause havoc. Desperate for help, they turned to Dhul-Qarnayn, begging him to protect them from these barbaric tribes. The people offered him wealth and treasures in exchange for his assistance, but Dhul-Qarnayn, a man of humility and righteousness, refused. He knew that what Allah had given him was far more valuable than any treasure of this world. For the sake of Allah, he agreed to help them, asking only for strong workers to assist him in building a barrier. And so, Dhul-Qarnayn set to work using iron and metal to build a mighty barrier between the two mountains. The barrier was so strong that neither Yajuj nor Majuj could scale it, nor could they dig beneath it. It was an impregnable wall, a mercy from Allah to protect the people. Dhul-Qarnayn, upon completing the wall, declared, "This is the mercy of my Lord." He also warned the people that this barrier would not stand forever. One day, when the time came, on the day of judgment, the barrier would fall, for Allah's promise is always true. Centuries passed, and the story of Yajuj and Majuj became part of history, a dark reminder of the chaos they would one day bring. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, once spoke of this impending disaster in a hadith, saying, "Woe to the Arabs from the great evil that is nearly approaching them." Today, a gap has been made in the wall of Yajuj and Majuj like this. And he formed a small ring with his fingers to show the size of the gap. The Prophet, peace be upon him, explained that every day, Yajuj and Majuj would dig at their barrier, inching closer to breaking through. When they saw the light of the sun through the crack, their leader would tell them to return, and they would stop. But every time they returned, the barrier would be restored by the will of Allah, stronger than before. This cycle continued day after day, until one fateful day when their leader would say, "We will continue tomorrow, inshallah," and with Allah's permission, the barrier would remain as it was. That would be the day they would finally break through. The Prophet, peace be upon him, also foretold that the tribes of Yajuj and Majuj would appear during the time of Prophet Isa, peace be upon him. Their numbers would be so vast that they would ravage everything in their path. The land would be left barren as they destroyed all life, and their hunger for conquest would know no bounds. They would pass by a great ocean, drinking all the water until it was completely dry. And when the last of them passed, they would say, "There used to be water here." Yajuj and Majuj would declare themselves the rulers of the earth, believing that they had conquered all of creation. But their arrogance would lead them to a tragic delusion. They would attempt to defeat the inhabitants of the sky, the angels, by shooting arrows into the heavens. When their arrows returned, covered in blood, they would believe they had killed the angels. In their ignorance, they would proclaim themselves the ultimate rulers of both the earth and the heavens. Meanwhile, Prophet Isa, peace be upon him, and the believers would be trapped in the mountains, struggling to survive. In their desperation, Isa, peace be upon him, would pray to Allah for help. And Allah, in His infinite mercy, would answer his prayer. Allah would send insects or worms that would strike down Yajuj and Majuj, causing them to die instantly. The earth would be left empty, their bodies scattered across the land. Isa, peace be upon him, and the believers would then descend from the mountains, only to find the earth covered with the bodies of Yajuj and Majuj, with no space left untouched. Isa would pray to Allah once more, asking for the removal of their bodies, and Allah would send birds to carry them away. Afterward, the earth would be cleansed by a refreshing rain, restoring it to its pure state. This is not just a tale of the past, it is a sign of what is to come, and a call to reflect, prepare, and draw closer to Allah. If this story moved your heart and reminded you of the greatness of Allah and the wisdom of His messengers, then don't keep it to yourself. Like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to Aspire Deen for more powerful Islamic stories and reminders. And don't forget to press the bell icon so you never miss a chance to grow in knowledge and faith. Until next time, may peace and blessings be upon you.